Hello, hello, hello. Bruce Solis with Core Multimedia Solutions coming back at you. Spent some time in Brownwood, Texas, looking at two projects out here. One ranch house and one lake house. Actually very, very cool. So both these houses kindly remind me of a topic that I'm going to talk about. I've talked about this before, but I like sharing about this very, very particular topic, and it's important, and it's even more important nowadays as a result of COVID in our new world that we're living in. The importance of inside wiring and cabling for your home and your office. What is that? Like, what is inside wiring cabling? Well, in the residential world, it's your coax, Cat 5e or Cat 6 fiber. So, what does that mean in layman's terms? It means internet. Period. It's internet. And in our world, how important is internet? It's everything. It is literally the world without internet does not exist anymore. And now, because of COVID, guess what everyone's doing? Working from home. So, for all the idiot builders out there, and you know who you are, all the cheap builders out there who've spent the last 10 years building crappy homes, not putting wiring in there, going wireless, because why would any home need wiring in it? We're Wi-Fi, we're wireless. It doesn't even matter. So we're not going to spend the money because it doesn't exist because technology. Myself, and I can't even tell you how many other integrators nationwide have been screaming at the builders in the building industry, especially in the custom home industry, and now on your local normal houses, put wiring and cabling in the house. That is Cat 5, coax, minimum of at least one to every single TV. Minimum. We on custom houses usually put 3 Cat lines and 1 coax to every single TV, and put Smurf tubing, which is conduit, giving us the flexibility to modify and adjust as a result of technology. So, here we are, 10 years later, builders still haven't learned the importance of it. So, I'm calling on you, all homeowners, all people who are building and buying homes. You have to ensure that your builder is doing right by you from a technology standpoint, and ensuring that they're not holding out and not wiring your house appropriately. Now, why is this important? Well, everybody's streaming now. Now, everybody's working from home. Now, everybody's streaming content all the time. Video, audio, and now Zoom calls, etc., etc., etc. Zoom has even come out with their own nice little commercial product for Zooming, like soundbar and camera and microphones, the whole kit and caboodle. That's how important it is nowadays. Over the past handful of months, especially during COVID, we have done about 15 home offices. We've had to go in there, put network switches, wireless access points, rerun cables, terminate everything, really treating it like we treat offices. And I continue to be amazed on houses that are still getting built today with little to zero wiring in that house. I get it 30 years ago, but it is the most important thing that you can add to your house if you want any kind of technology. And for all those commercials that you see out there, you DIY kind of guys, ooh, I can get my Wi-Fi up and running and plug this into my outlet and get electrical and I found this $14. No, not gonna work. It's not a good solution. Wasting your money. For all those out there who do not understand how technology works, I'm going to break it down to you. If you have a provider such as AT&T, and AT&T provides fiber to your home, or if they don't provide fiber to their home, they're providing internet and cable and telephone, whatever services you want, to a house. They do the exact same thing to a commercial building. Within that, that's going to dictate the amount of speed that you have coming into your house. So that's upload speed, download speed. So if you ever do a Wi-Fi test or hook up your computer directly to a router, you can go to Ookla or one of the many other sites, Ookla, OOKLA, to do a speed test. And in that speed test, it'll tell you what your upload speed and your download speed is. Now, what is upload speed and what is download speed? Okay. Download speed is what we mainly use on a day-to-day basis. So you're on your laptop, you're on your computer, you're just on the internet, you're pulling information from the cloud into your home, streaming content in. So there's a difference between having
in a quarter mile,
the terms 50 up and 10 down. So 50 up is, 50 down and 10 up is 50 down is 50 megabytes per second. And that is the amount of speed that you're getting to download that information and content onto your computer, your iPhone, iPad, etc. 10 megabytes is the amount of information and bandwidth that you are pushing up into the cloud. So for example, I'm videoing this message, and when I send this video message up into the cloud, into YouTube, I'm pushing content up, so I need upload speed. So since most houses, we're not pushing a content back up, you don't require that much. Another example is Ring cameras. Ring, Nest, all these types of cameras that have a cloud-based network. So for every camera, you have their usage is about 1.5 to 1.8. So if you have 6 cameras and they're all pushing at full, you need, 6 times 1.5 is 9 megabyte upload speed. So the more speed you have, upload and download, the better and the more you can do with this. Why is this important? Because the more devices that you have in your house, when your network is slowing down, it's because you have too many devices and they're not getting enough, they're dividing the amount of information amongst themselves, and therefore everything slows down. How is this different from Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi is a whole different animal within itself, but it works like your cellular network. So as I'm driving in my car from Brownwood, Texas, back to Dallas, Texas, I can be on my cell phone, and as I'm driving, my cell phone call gets handed from tower to tower to tower. What happens when I get from one tower and I keep on going further and further away from that? I lose my signal. It has nothing to do with the speed and content within that tower. It has everything to do with my antennas trying to talk to that antenna, and eventually, if that antenna call cannot drop or cannot connect to the next cellular tower because it's full, I drop my phone call. Wi-Fi works the exact same way in houses and commercial buildings. We put in wireless access points. The wireless access point is basically an antenna that extends the signaling for Wi-Fi. So in a house or commercial, a large house, we may have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wireless access points in your home, where if I'm on my phone, I'm on Wi-Fi, and I'm walking from one part of the house to the other, it's not dropping the signal strength. It's maintaining that connectivity because it's handing off to that next wireless access point. Why is this important? Because it's great to have speed, but if your router, which most AT&T and most providers will try to stick a router in the worst place humanly possible, which is in the corner of a house. And now if you're on the opposite corner of the house, that baby little small antenna is trying to talk to all that information on the other side of the house. Well, you have all sorts of interference, from walls to electricity to metal to whatever, glass. It's not going to happen. So you can have the best speed in the world, but if your signal strength sucks, doesn't really matter. It's never going to work. You can have the greatest signal strength in the world, but if your speed sucks, then it's not going to matter. So you need a combination of both. You need great signal strength, great wireless speed, upload and download speed to run an efficient home nowadays. Also, Wi-Fi. Just because you have Wi-Fi doesn't mean that you want to put everything on your Wi-Fi network. You want to old school and plug things in. So if you have a desk in your house, hardwire your laptop or your desktop to the wall, and that wall should go directly to either a network switch or a router. What's a network switch? Some people ask me. All right, dumb this down. So on your router, most people know what a router is. On the back of that router, you usually have around 4 ports on the back of that, and it's basically called an Ethernet port. We all know what an Ethernet patch cable looks like, because it's what you would plug into your laptop and then you'd plug into a wall. So those ports allow a hardwired internet connection that you physically would connect wire to wire into that piece of equipment, like a laptop. That is the best way to stay consistent with the internet, so your internet's not dropping. So if you're streaming a movie or content, when you have a glitch in Wi-Fi, you'll see the glitch. You're minimizing the amount of glitches that you have by physically hardwiring all your equipment to the internet versus relying on Wi-Fi. Plus, too many things on your Wi-Fi network will end up crashing your Wi-Fi and slowing it down. It's a different type of technology. This goes back to wiring your house correctly. We physically hardwire as much as we possibly can, and we use switches. Switches basically are just a bunch of Ethernet ports that will give you that many more options to hardwire physical pieces of equipment too. So instead of using Wi-Fi, again, we're physically connecting a wire from point A to point B and then going directly to the internet versus just using Wi-Fi. These are all little tips of why home builders and remodelers and anybody who's owns a home or is purchasing a home needs to really, really understand, can they get proper networking in their house? Hopefully it's been wired right. And especially now that we're doing more Zoom calls, I'll give you an example. We did a client's house. The lady is a consultant. She traveled for a living. She's got 2 daughters in college, 1 in high school, and guess what? Now they're all home. And the first thing she said is, my internet is absolutely horrible. I can't do work. They can't do schoolwork. It's slowing everything down. So we had her upgrade her level of speed and from her provider. We ended up physically hardwiring every one of the computers, and we put wireless access points throughout her house. So when they had to use Wi-Fi, they got great Wi-Fi coverage, but all of their computers are now physically hardwired, and that solved their internet issues that they were having, especially now during COVID. They're just one client, and like I said, we've probably done about 15 house offices as of late. The other thing to consider, now that you are now working from home, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, you are now open to being hacked. Those home networks are not secured networks. If you are a president and a CEO, if you're a consultant and you're used to working on private networks, VPN networks, and you have your IT department at your house, at your office, protecting all of your information, you need to have them protect your information at your house. You need to set up VPNs or whatever you need to do, because all your information is on your computer, and your house is the most easily hackable place on the planet. Every time you add a Ring doorbell, every time you do anything with an IP address, anybody who's savvy enough to find that IP address can actually use that IP address and hack into your home network and literally look through every one of your cameras, grab a hold of your laptop, which now you're working from home, and break into it and submit spyware. It's pretty darn easy. So, there's my warning. If you don't have an IT company, you may want to consider having an IT company monitor or service your computers and your house, because of that. They can put in firewalls, whatever they need to do. But we are fast becoming a country in a world where your home now is going to be the easiest way to break into everything, because everything has an IP address. And if it has an IP address and somebody knows what to do with it, they can break into your house and your personal computer, and they can do anything they want. And if you're a high profile person who is president or CEO or high up on a company, and you think you're protected at your office and you're not being protected at home, then you're making a bad mistake. So make sure that you familiarize yourselves with that when it comes to networking. Dovetailing this back, make sure if you're building a home or remodeling your home that you're wiring the heck out of it. Put low voltage cabling, at least one CAT, at least one coax, to every single TV location and throughout. Have all that centralized into a cabinet, and ensure that whoever your network provider is, whether it's AT&T or Comcast or Spectrum or whatever, that they are literally putting that router inside that closet or in that particular area. So that can give you the flexibility of now providing hardwired